Tapo has a great range of cameras, many of which work with a solar panel, but it's an extra that does not come with the camera. Tapo has simplified this by offering the Tapo SolarCam. It's a bundled solution that comes with special mounting hardware for the camera and included solar panel in one. Does this sound like the solution you've been looking for? I'm Wanderer001. Let's get into it. To start things off, Tapo did reach out to me and provide me with the Tapo SolarCam for review. Tapo does not have any say into the content of this video. Starting with the camera itself, it is actually remarkably small, even smaller than a can of carbonated beverage, and that is pretty impressive for what you get in this. Overall operating temperature of the camera is -4 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit and has an IP rating of 65. And I was able to test this camera out, getting rained on quite a bit during my testing, which I like to always be able to do and show you. Coming to the front of our camera, right here, we have our lens. It has an image sensor, 1/2.8 progressive scan CMOS starlight sensor, meaning that you will be able to see in low light actual color instead of IR or relying on the LED lights. Resolution. Despite what's listed on Tapo's website, of this being a 1080 camera, the actual resolution is 2340 by 1296 with a 111 degree horizontal field of view with a 56 degree vertical field of view. Regardless of when you take your video, in the day or nighttime, you are looking at 15 frames a second. The other thing I want you to notice around the lens here, this is something I've seen a lot of other camera manufacturers doing lately, and that's having a channel or a lip around the lens to help direct water around it. Coming down, we have 4 850 nanometer IR lights with a range of 30 feet, as well as a set of 4 LED nodes, allowing you to actually see in color in the middle of the night if you don't have enough ambient light around for that starlight sensor to work. We have our status light, our ambient light sensor, and our microphone. And right down here, this is our PIR sensor. You might think that this Tapo camera looks a lot like some other ones that have been on the market for a while. And what I want you to notice is actually the size and shape of this PIR sensor. The other model that you're probably thinking of was a little circle, very similar to the lens as a PIR sensor. This gives you a larger swath of detectable space. Yes, it kind of looks like a smiley face, but it gives you more range for it to detect in, which is great. Coming to the bottom of our camera, we have one of our mounting solutions. So yes, you can get a standard tripod mount through there and mount this underneath. So it would be like that. You also have your speaker, which again, for the size of the camera is not terrible in any way, shape, or form. Coming to the back of the camera, we have our power button, our reset button, our micro SD card slot, which has very thick rubberized gasket for weatherproofing, and our SD card in here can accept up to a 512 gigabyte SD card. Here we have our other mounting screw, as well as a rubber gasket around that because it is compatible with a mounting solution that is proprietary for this particular camera. And then over here on the right, we have our power port, which is USB-C, and again, a very thick rubberized channel to help keep water out of there. Coming back to our speaker, there is an alarm on this Tapo camera, and that alarm can get up to 94 decibels in volume. Because this is a smart camera, there is a setup process for it. So let me show you. This will be setup of the Tapo C402. First, you're going to open up your Tapo app and then come to the upper right-hand corner of the screen and press the plus sign. From here, we're going to select add a device, and then we're going to look for our camera. Since this has a solar panel, this is an outdoor camera, and then we're going to come down and find the C402. We have to flip the device over and press the power button on the back, and pressing and holding. Once we do that, front flash is red and says camera on. It's flashing green, red and green. We're going to select that, and it wants us to connect to this Tapo device's Wi-Fi network. There we go. Just a few too many networks in my location. Here's our Tapo camera, connected but no internet access. I'm waiting for that because I want to say yes, I want to stay connected even though it doesn't have Wi-Fi. And then you can see it picked up that I did that. So if you don't have as many Wi-Fi networks in this process would have been a little easier. Kind of wish that they, by default, hid the password. Really wish Tapo would stop showing passwords.
Connecting to Wi-Fi.
It says connecting to Wi-Fi. I can see it's attached to my Alex A right there. Name my device. Just gonna leave it at the name of the device. Select its location. In my case, I'm going to put this in the backyard. And then you can pick a representation of the device if you want to, or you can just leave it at the default. I will pick this one, and setup is complete. You can try a 30-day free trial of Tapo Care, but it is not required for Tapo devices. I'm going to say I got it. You can put an SD card in here. The maximum is 512, so we're going to say got it because I already did that. Here's the firmware update time. I always like this. Tapo lets you set up something so that it'll check for an update when you're asleep and not using the camera. So you're going to make sure that you close both the port covers. And then here, it's testing our Wi-Fi. There's our signal. You saw me. And it's showing you the proper way to mount this. Select next. Don't do glass. Best way to angle it because of the PIR sensor. More information about the PIR sensor. Notice it's actually making you read it. There's a timer down there before it actually lets you progress. It is suggested that you fully charge it before actually mounting, and should take about 7.5 hours to fully charge. You actually have a solar panel, but you also can mount this on a table. Here we have the solar panel one. I'm going to select next, and it shows you how you can mount this. Mount camera and solar together, mount separately. We're going to say together, and it shows you. You're going to take this bit apart, drill your holes in, move on next. Once you have it in place, it says check the preview. So once again, it's going to show me testing the Wi-Fi signal, and then finished. So part of that you wouldn't actually be doing while you're setting it up. It would be the installation. But this was the setup of the Tapo C402 solar panel kit, and part of what the installation guide looks like. With setup out of the way, you saw there's some extras that we get with this. Why don't we take this moment to take a look at the extras that we get with this camera. Mounting template sticker. Under that, we have our solar panel, dedicated mounting peripheral for camera and solar panel, anchors and screws, Tapo mounting plate, USB-C cable, I'd assume that's for the solar panel, smaller USB-A to USB-C cable. Looks like they actually include a zip tie, another mounting template, quick start guide for the panel, extra literature. Over here on the right, we have the camera, and then connection washers rubberized to help keep everything watertight. One of the big extras that you saw in that box was the solar panel that actually comes with this Tapo camera. The solar panel itself is 7 inches tall and just shy of 5 inches wide. And you can see right there, pretty much the entire face of it is made up of solar cells. If we flip it over to the back, there's not a lot to look at except for the proprietary mounting feature for the proprietary mounting hardware for this camera. You get a short USB-C connector to plug into your Tapo camera if you're going to use the proprietary mounting solution there, but if you choose not to and mount the camera and solar panel separately in the box, what you saw was a 13-foot extension cable that you can run between the camera and the solar panel, allowing you to have better placement of your solar panel. The panel itself is a 2.5 watt panel, which will, with 45 minutes of sunlight a day, pretty much keep your camera level. And let me tell you, I did a lot of testing, and I was really running the camera ragged with notifications and detections, and this did a very good job of keeping it on point. Granted, I didn't really see it go up that much, but I was really using a lot of resources. So the fact that this was even able to keep it at what I had it at was very good. Coming back to the camera itself, it is compatible with voice assistants like Google and Alexa, and operates over Wi-Fi using the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. The internal battery of this camera is a 6,400 milliamp battery. So if you chose not to use your solar panel, or you're in the dead of winter and haven't seen sun forever, the battery in here is large enough to allow the camera to run for 180 days without getting any charge from the sun. With the hardware out of the way, the next thing that makes or breaks a camera is its application. So let's take a look. Application for the Tapo C402 or the Tapo SolarCam. Right here on the Tapo homepage, we can see our icon. We've got a blue indicator right there. If I tap on this, that will put the camera into privacy mode, meaning it's not recording anything at all. And I could do that right without even having to click into the camera itself. Here you can see its location and this green battery indicator, meaning that it is charging via the solar panel and that I have plenty of battery left. If I select the camera itself, that's going to bring me into the live feed for the camera. We're going to give that a second to load up. Up at the top, we have the name of my camera. Underneath that, we have the bit rate and connection, as well as the battery percentage and indicating that it's charging. That is our settings. We'll talk about that a little later. Right here, this is the live feed. If I double tap, that will zoom it into its maximum point. So double tapping again will zoom it out. And there you can kind of see as it's zoomed in, my little robot there, as well as all the shrubbery, letting you know just how crisp and clear this is. Underneath the image itself, we have this box with a plus in the middle of it. What this will allow you to do is have multiple Tapo cameras displaying all at once. So you would select this and then add other Tapo cameras so that you could have a live feed of up to 4 cameras in a single location. To the right of that, we can see it is showing 1080, but I can change this to 360 to lower the bitrate if I need to save data, or I could have it go to auto if I want to variably change on its own depending on Wi-Fi signal strength. To the right of that, we have auto. This is for our day-night mode. Auto, as it might sound, will turn it to night mode when it gets dark enough. If not, I can force it to stay in day mode, or I can force it to stay in night mode. To the right of that, this will be our full screen option, and notice it kind of shifts some things around. Right there we have a light bulb, which is in another location once we come back here. And those were all on the image portion. Now notice if I tap those away, I've got a 1 of 32, and this will allow me to singly swipe through up to 32 different Tapo cameras, which is different than the 4x4 grid we had before. Underneath that, we have a picture. If I take a picture of that, it simply takes a still image of what's on screen and saves it to our downloads and playback location. To the right of that is a record. This will record exactly what's being seen on screen, including the audio. And once I tap it again, we'll save that to our download and playback section. To the right of that, we have our camera microphone. Notice I have it all the way up, and it's kind of not recommended because it gets a little garbly, but I test them to the extreme. Here we have a phone. This will allow us to make a call, and this is going to be full duplex. I don't have to tap and hold. Right now, as I'm speaking, audio is going through the camera, and anybody who's out there can hear me speaking. I can also turn the mic on and off, and then speaker on and off. So if I want to disengage specific aspects of my conversation. In the upper right-hand corner here, we have settings for our camera microphone volume and our camera speaker volume. We can slide and make changes however we like right there. Underneath that, we have push to talk. So I do have to push and hold in order for this to allow me to talk. This is different than the call, which is the full duplex. Next, we have our alarm. Selecting this will initiate the alarm. It will flash and sound just like this. Here's another way that we can initiate privacy mode, turning off the ability of the camera to see anything, to record anything. If you need this camera to not see, that's what you would do. Here we have our light. If we turn that on, obviously right now, it's really bright. It's not going to show you what it looks like. But right there, we can see there is a timer letting me know that even though I tap this on, it will turn itself off in 5 minutes if I don't tap that again. And I do like the visualization of this light bulb, letting me know the light is on in case you forget. Here we have our tag on and off. What this will do is if a person comes wandering in through frame, it will tag them as such with a box around them. And then to the right of that, we have our Tapo Care. Tapo Care is not something that you need for this camera to be fully functional, but if you select Tapo Care, this will bring you into their subscription model. And here you could see the prices for the monthly, and then we'll show you the yearly just in case you want to see what those prices are like. And I do believe right now there is a flash sale. Coming down, we have our playback and downloads area. As you might imagine, this is our playback and downloads area. Here you could see that there will be indications of person, pet, and vehicle. Right now you're just going to see person because I was out there testing. So if I tap on the person and let it load up, you can see this is me wandering around. And there's that motion tagging that I was telling you about before, where it's showing person as I'm walking around. If I come back up to my date, I can select any one of these days with a blue dot, and it will show me what has happened during that time. So here's a motion event, and you'll notice on the timeline here, if I pinch to zoom, each motion type is color coded differently, but I can kind of jump to a specific spot and go, oh, there was something here. Let me see what that was. And then I could see, in this case, it was a light that was turning on over here. And then, oh, there we go. It filled it out with the rest of the objects, including people. Now from here, I can play, I can mute, I can take a snapshot, I can record what's being seen here, or I can select this option here, which will allow me to trim down this video clip to the size that I want. which is a great feature that not a lot of cameras have, allowing you to take something that was very large and shrink it down if you only need a specific bit from there. If I come over to the right of my clip, I can hit the three dots and select download or cancel. Keep in mind, if you're downloading this, it will save it to your download section over here, but you need to be on the same Wi-Fi connection in order to download. This is something I wish Tapo would do a little differently. I don't necessarily always want to be on the same Wi-Fi when I'm downloading something. One more thing, up here on the image itself, if I select the speed icon up here, when this is playing, I can slow it down to 1/16 or I can speed it up to 16 times. So if you have a very long clip that you need to get through, that's how you'd be able to do that. And we're gonna come back. Coming down, we have our Tapo cloud storage. You do get a 30-day free trial. This is similar to the Tapo Care. Opening this up, it will show you exactly what you're getting. Unlimited cloud storage, rich notifications, smart sort, and that is everything that you get with Tapo Care. I, for the purposes of testing this camera, did not use either, and it's one thing I really like about Tapo cameras is they are actually functional without using the paid subscription service. Those were all of our camera controls. Let's take a look at the settings for it. Up here in the right-hand corner, we select the sprocket, and then we're brought to our settings. First being, here's the name of our device. Selecting this will show us a lot of sensitive information, so I won't be showing that to you. Under that, we have detection. Here we have wake up sensitivity. Selecting that means how sensitive do you want this to be? And the further out you go is the more sensitive it is. And then you can do a test, or what is a detection range test. It's going to give you all that information. Coming down, we have detection zones. You can set for all, or you can set for specific targets. Let's say I just want to set a zone at a zone. We're going to say that zone. You can set a zone for everything, or if I select this, I can set specific detection zones, and it's showing me here how to actually do that. I would select what I want, select add a zone, say, well, people I want over here, and I'm going to say pet add a zone. That looks like that for pet, and vehicle is off because I don't need it, but we're going to say motion zone, add a motion zone. Well, this I want to be everywhere, and then save. So now I have 3 separate zones set up. This is one of the things that Tapo does right. And here you can kind of see my hodgepodge of zones where everything is selected, people, and then pets. And then we're going to select back. And here you can turn on and off what you want. Do you want motion, on or off? Its sensitivity. Person, on or off? Its sensitivity. Pet, on or off? And its sensitivity. Notice that that is a beta feature. And then vehicle. In my case, this is a backyard, so I don't get any motion from a vehicle back there, but I could turn it off and on if I wanted to. Here we have our alarm. Selecting alarm on or off. Well, got to toggle it on if you want it to be activated, and this is when something wanders into frame. What do you want? Alarm type, sound and light, light only, sound type, default, or you've got red alert, which you can't hear because it's outside. Alarm duration, default, and custom. If I select custom, you can do custom all the way up to 30 seconds. Alarm event type for what type of motion you want to trigger it, and then alarm schedule. You can do all day, during the night, and then a custom schedule. If you do a custom schedule, you can select when and what days. Battery status, here if I select that, you have the option to show your battery status, show your battery percentage, working mode. Do you want balanced, power saving, high performance custom, and then auto power savings mode, which will automatically activate power saving mode when the battery is below 10%. So you could select that. It decreases some of the options that you have in order to save your battery. And then here we have battery levels over the past 7 days, or I can select the past 30 days, and then we could see battery usage, time of usage, wake up events, and then some of which were filtered by AI. So if you like charts, this is where you're going to hang out. Here is another area in which we can access the Tapo Care free trial. Here we have our storage and recording. Selecting this, notice we have a micro SD card, which is currently good. It is recording to micro SD card. You could schedule recording if you didn't necessarily want it to record during specific times. So right now it's detection recording, or I can select don't record. I leave that on because I obviously want to get stuff. Clip settings, retrigger time by default is set for 10 seconds. If you want to preserve your battery, you're going to increase that. If you want to catch more things, you're going to decrease that. Record buffer is how long the camera will continue to record after a motion event has ended. And then maximum clip length, you have 20 seconds all the way up to 120 seconds, which it's saying it's not really recommended for the mode that I'm currently in. And then record sound. There are some areas where you cannot record sound, and this is how you'd be able to toggle that off if you live in one of those areas. Video display, well, right here we've got infrared mode for the night mode, or I can do color mode, which would be using the LEDs that are on the camera. If you're using the infrared, you have the ability to select near, medium, and far, letting you know how intense do I want the infrareds to be so I could see. Video quality, 1080, 360, or auto. Privacy zone, well, right now I don't have any on, but if I turn this on and then select privacy zone, I can add a zone, and I'll say over here by this house, make this a little smaller, and then select yes. What that's going to do is put this black box there. Whether I'm viewing the live feed, viewing or recording, I will not be able to see that area because that is a privacy zone. And you could select multiple areas that you don't want to see. That's where you do that. On-screen display, display timestamp. This is the timestamp format. Display text, which is useful if hypothetically this is the default, which is the name of the camera. But if I was in loading bay 3 and I had multiple cameras for loading bay 3, 4, and 5, this is how I could differentiate all of them. And then display logo, which is the Tapo logo on your video feed. For me, I like that because I like to know where my video has come from. Display tag on screen. Here we go. Speed tag right there. And then if I do that, a live tag. I like how Tapo shows you exactly what you're going to be looking at when you add these features. Spotlight settings, well, here you go. I have it up to maximum, and then I could tap on the spotlight, and if it was dark, it would actually show me what was going on out there, but it's still a little too bright for that. Status LED, letting you know, hey, what's going on with the camera. Network connection. Here's another way to enable privacy mode. And then we have our notifications. Activity notifications is a pretty much text message that you would get that says, hey, something's happened, go check it out. Richer notification would give you a sample of the video footage, but that is part of the Tapo Care and you do have to pay for that. And then we have activity types, the two types of things that we are detecting for. I can do all motion, I can do vehicle. Keep in mind, a notification is different than a trigger to record. I only want to be notified when a person or pet is detected, not necessarily when it detects motion, even though it will record when there is motion. And then schedule, I have always, but you can do during the day, during the night, and then a custom time frame. Again, adjustments all there. There are lots of options that Tapo gives you to customize your camera. Advanced settings, here we have our power line frequency. By default, it's on 60 hertz for me. You can change that to 50 hertz. If you don't know what that is, just stay out of there. Don't worry about it. Video calling mode, you have standard mode or you have compatibility mode, which will lower some things in order to make sure that your call actually goes through, and that's when you're talking through the camera. Display settings, you have hardware acceleration or compatibility mode. Again, compatibility mode is going to lower things to make sure that you are actually getting the video feed. And diagnostics, on or off. If you want to share diagnostics or get diagnostics information, that's how you can do it. Share device, I don't have a share right now, but if I selected share, I can send an invite which will allow them to view the camera. You do have to have a TP-Link email address, so if they do not have a TP-Link account, that will not work. So that's how you can share things. Smart actions, this is going to be some of your home automation stuff. This is actually kind of cool. You can set up an arrival, a leave. So if I leave at a specific time, turn the cameras on to start recording. If I arrive at a certain time, turn these off, or they can be set up to do things based on other triggered devices that you have within the Tapo universe. If you have a Tapo smart plug and it turns on, hey, maybe the camera turns on the spotlight for X amount of time. That's all done through smart actions. You have your user guide in case there was something in this video that you could not find. That's where you can find information. You have feedback, sending feedback to Tapo. Your firmware version, during setup, you set this up for auto updates. Great, it does it off cycle, doesn't interfere with anything, but you could manually check for firmware that way. You can reboot your camera and then remove your camera from your Tapo app. That's everything we could do with the Tapo SolarCam using the Tapo app. There's a lot that you can do with the Tapo app, and I appreciate the fact that Tapo does not lock a lot of their settings behind a paywall. They're one of the few manufacturers left that still does that. But even with all of the options that you get in the Tapo app, I also appreciate the fact that it's not too convoluted for an entry-level user to figure out. With that out of the way, what's next? Actual testing. First being audio. What I could say is the audio from this is pretty good considering the size of the speaker and its placement and how far the camera was away from me when I was testing. Let's take a listen.
Solar camera, audio test. Valley Bell Shell 5 Shore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Next, and some would say more importantly, is video testing. What I can say is during the day, the image is sharp and clear and very distinguishable. In low light, it is good and still has color because of the starlight sensor, albeit the colors seem washed out. In the dark or night, with the IR lights, there is noticeable artifacting, but it's not a deal breaker. If you use the LED lights, you will notice ghosting as well as artifacting, but this is common with most cameras that have a starlight sensor. If you're interested in more video samples, I'll have a separate video linked out over there. Next, I like to do detection testing. How quickly will I get notified when this camera picks me up? Let me show you. Notification speed test on Tapo SolarCam on 5G using Mint. So stepping off right about here, I should be in the camera's line of sight. PIR sensor should be about here. And we're gonna give that a second to go. There we go. Tapo camera right there. That's a Eufy one, but there's a Tapo one right there. As you saw, pretty good and comparable with most other battery-powered outdoor camera. Even if there's a lot to like about a camera, there are always cons. So there were a few that I found with the Tapo SolarCam. First being the fact that this camera is listed as a 1080 camera, even though the actual resolution puts it more in the range of a 2K camera, will be off-putting to some, because if you're currently looking for cameras right now in the market, most of them, the low end is going to be 2K. 1080 is not something that you see all that often anymore, and having this camera marketed as such might deter some people. The mounting solution that you're looking at might not work for everybody. It's proprietary, but I do appreciate the fact that they offer multiple ways of mounting the camera, even without using the proprietary hardware. But if you're going to be looking at something other than the proprietary hardware, you probably would be looking at a different camera. What I can say is I actually did not screw the proprietary mounting plate down. I actually used a strap and strapped it to my deck. So if you don't want to drill holes somewhere, you could always just invest in a strap, and it kept it in place perfectly fine. Last con that I could find was the clarity of the night vision. Yes, I did say that most battery-powered cameras do show artifacting. I just felt that this camera had a little more artifacting than I was used to seeing even in other Tapo cameras. Another downside of the Tapo SolarCam is having to be on the same Wi-Fi network to download your clips from your camera. Now, this is not a limitation of the SolarCam in particular. This is what Tapo has chosen to do with all of their cameras. And I understand partially that it's more of a safety feature, but with me, who has 3 to 4 different networks that I happen to be on at any given time, it's kind of a nuisance to always have to remember to go back to the network that I have my IoT devices on. Perhaps Tapo in the future could make this an option that could be turned off. Even with that, if you're looking for a remarkably priced 2K solar camera that comes with all the solar equipment that you need, that also has free AI detection and local storage, I can strongly recommend the Tapo SolarCam. If this camera sounds like what you've been looking for, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Not sure if this is the right Tapo camera for you? On screen now, you will see 2 other Tapo camera reviews that I have done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.